Hey, good evening. Let's talk to sports family. And tonight, this is what I would say a scheduled but special show. And the reason why I say that is because the NFL, for a lot of people, may not be important to them, but for Dwayne and myself, it's important. And just everything they do is genius in a sort of way. They understand their fan base and they are in tune with their fan base. We all know that training camps opened up early with Jacksonville and Las Vegas Raiders fans, but today the NFL gave us something very special where they did basically all day programming at every 32 at all 32 camps, and I thought that it was genius. I thought that it was smart. And Dwayne, if you guys look at our subscribers to the channel, you'll know that Dwayne posted a video up earlier in reference to it and just talked about how we are there. Football is back. Most of us took a hiatus during the Super Bowl, and we did a couple shows. A lot of the bloggers stayed content with the draft and so forth, and so on. But Dwayne and myself, we kind of like don't want to do shows for just the sake of doing shows. We want our shows to be good. We want them to be entertaining, and we also just want to be honest about certain things. And even though most of the camps, this is why I respect the NFL and the NFLPA, because nobody is in pads until next week. So they ease these guys into hitting. Basically, this is how these soft tissue injuries happen by overextending themselves. So basically, they've been doing a high intense cardio the last couple of days. The team we root for, the Dallas Cowboys, get over access, but Dwayne and myself are going to talk about them as well as some other comings and goings in the NFL. What's up, Dwayne?
Not much, man. Just sitting here, wrapping up this back together Saturday. NFL Network, another hour to go. ABC, NBC, ESPN, and ABC had coverage today for a few hours. So, NFL back to the interviews, wrap around. So, was one major suffered in 49 with Maurice Hurst. So even though they're not fully packed, they're still going live. People are still getting hurt. So that's a big injury. That's the season ender. Um,
Who, Maurice Hurst?
yeah, Maurice Hurst. Yeah,
That's your guy, right?
yeah, from the University of Michigan. Um, you got Jensen from the Bucks who got hurt his knee. They're saying several weeks. They ain't saying a year. But at the earliest, it looks like maybe December for him.
Ooh.
So even though they kind of ramp up, it's still football. Injuries are still going to happen.
I want to ask you a question, Dwayne, before we get into what I know we're going to get into, and I just want to talk about NFL programming. The NFL is rolling out something very, very innovative on Monday, and we always talk about. I really believe that the NFL wants to take over DirecTV's ticket because and figure out how they could do it. But explain to everyone what NFL Plus is really going to be all about.
It's just going to be an app that gives you the ability to watch out of market preseason games. You get the base package, it's $4.99. That's for basically for the preseason. Get you all of the. So if you live in New York, but you got the app, let's say you're a Detroit Lions fan living in New York, you can watch a Lions game on the app. Plus, they'll give you basically coaches film, which is the all 22, which will allow you to see the whole field, see what players are doing. And then in the course of the season, you can go up and pay, I believe it's $9.99 a month, and that will give you access. Once the games is over, you got access to Game Pass. You can go over there and watch reviews of it. You can see what the coaches are saying. It's just a way for the NFL to give their fans more of a control of their programming.
So I know last week when we did our show, we you started out with the position groups of the Cowboys, but then because we want to always be in tune with our viewers who are watching, we kind of got off track. And I know that it's been interesting. I know I seen something today, and one thing that we always give Will McClay and that staff of Dallas credit is personnel. And I don't know why, but today when I heard the reports about Tack McKinley, it made me scratch my head. And the reason why is because one of the things that people don't understand about you and myself is that you are one of the biggest football fans that I know, one of the biggest football followers. So you follow guys from high school all the way to the NFL, and hopefully you follow them to Canton. I remember Tack McKinley because I remember our draft that year and when the Cowboys drafted Taco Charlton. But one thing I didn't understand is that all the reports were when Tack McKinley got cut and sent home by Atlanta Falcons was that he didn't get along with Dan Quinn. It was basically Quinn sent him home and then they released him. So I thought it was interesting when they said the Cowboys was talking to him, another one of Quinn guys. So it goes to what we always say that sometimes these narratives that are in national media, they really don't be true.
Part of that thinking is they're trying to catch lightning in a bottle again, like they did with Hooker, because Tack's not 100% healthy. He can't come right into camp right now and compete for a position. He's still coming back from that injury from last year. So they're looking at it as we did the same thing with Malik Hooker last year. We brought him along slow, and then by the end of the year, he was flying. Um, if you're bringing him into Dallas, it's a low risk, high reward type of move. It's not going to cost him a lot of money. They're going to allow him to get himself healthy if he comes. They're going to allow him to get himself healthy, and then just put him out there because one thing he can get after the quarterback, you know. So that's just them with their football acquisition is 24/7, 365. That's what Stephen Jones always says. And so that's what it is, man. But it's just amazing when you think about the NFL. So they got all of these back together on Saturdays. And if you're watching on NFL Network, even if you're watching on NFL Network now, you'll see they'll put up a graphic and you could go on with your QR code, put your phone over it right on TV, and order tickets. It's just genius how they market all this stuff, man. It's amazing, but it's a lot. The NFL still got a lot of stuff with it too. Like they're having this big celebration, and it's the start of football, and there's still a pink elephant in the room with Deshaun Watson.
Yeah,
So
I saw some of the coverage where he, as usual, he looks good with his new team and they were running plays. And I just thought it was odd. I know a lot of people were saying yesterday was going to be the day. And I think that one of the things that the NFL has done great is they took it out of their hands with the ruling. They have the young lady that's going to do the ruling. She's not on NFL time.
well, no, the NFL was not going to come out, and I said this to another guy. They're not going to have this back together Saturday and come out with news that Deshaun Watson is suspended on Friday. The NFL is very smart. Come Tuesday, the suspension will come down. They're not going to put a suspension the day before their big celebration of the kickoff of the season. And I was listening to the fellas. I give a credit on that. I was listening to the fellas on Fox Sports this morning, and they were saying the exact same thing. It's just not how the NFL operates.
Yeah.
They let stuff happen on draft day, and then when the draft is over, then they break big news of what stuff's going on. They're never going to trump an event that they got scheduled. Goodell, the owners, they're smarter than that. So come Tuesday, you'll know what's up with Deshaun Watson. They
Yeah.
just wasn't going to do it this weekend, not when they're doing the celebration.
Well, Dwayne, I know we've been, as I say, the team we follow is just so much, and I really looked at one of the teams that I really looked at this week was Bills camp, and I like what was being said out of Bills camp. I like the attitude I heard from the quarterback. That is not the team that we root for, or the sleeper team. I don't. I think what the Bills have done is interesting. I think a lot of these times a lot of these things with teams that quote unquote are Super Bowl contenders, they still got to manage that salary cap. The Bills' offensive line and running game might be their weakest point, and it's a lot when you got a quarterback like that and you don't know, what's your stability up front. I think that a lot of these organizations don't take in consideration that you got to build these teams from, in my opinion, build them from the inside out.
Well, I mean, we're gonna see with the Bills, man. Everybody's been on the Bills for 2 years now, so it's a matter of do they take that next step. Now, most of the people, it's just a weird. It's been a weird off season to me. Like you got two wide receivers and Tyreek Hill and Amari Cooper. You got these two wide receivers that change teams. And now, just off one wide receiver, both of the teams are supposed to just be terrible. Like, 15 still plays for the Chiefs. Like, I know Tyreek's dynamic. 15 still plays for the Chiefs, man. You know, and he got Hardman still there. They picked up Juju Smith-Schuster, which I think is a great pickup. They picked up who I think is the best rookie wide receiver in the draft. I said it going in. I think Scott Moore has wound up in the most perfect situation for him as a rookie coming in. And if you listen to the reports and stuff out of camp already, he lightened it up, which doesn't surprise me. I saw every game that Scott Moore played in college. See, that's the difference. A lot of times you'll see guys that's out here and they'll watch highlights, a 3-minute mock-up of somebody, but you got to watch them actually in the flow of the game. I saw it. Trust me when I tell you. I saw every college snap that Scott Moore took. I watched every game. Played for Western Michigan. I watched every game. This kid's special. And it's going to be about week 6, somewhere around there, where the NFL is going to be like, oh my God, how did we let Scott Moore? How did they let Scott Moore fall to the Chiefs? Yeah, I said that on draft day. It's the perfect place for him. Does he have the speed of a Tyreek Hill? No. He's a better route runner. He's fast. He catches everything. So it's like we're so quick. Like Josh Allen. Josh Allen's amazing talent. Diggs is an amazing talent. That was a great game against the Chiefs. But they got to get over the hump before everybody. If you're gonna crown them, crown their ass, like the great Dennis Green said. But we got
I
to see
think that
what they are.
I think that one of the things, Dwayne, in reference to what you're talking about with the receivers, is I think that the reason why receivers are so expendable for certain teams is that you have a Tyreek Hill who wanted almost $30 million. Now he's a great receiver and he's on his way to Canton, Ohio, with the numbers that he keep putting up. He's dynamic, but you can't have that type of receiver and your quarterback basically getting so much, damn near 40-50% of your salary cap. And in reference to Amari Cooper, when you look at the availability factor, and I'm a Amari Cooper fan, but you need your receivers to be available, not just from a perspective of whether or not he should have took the COVID vaccine, but from a perspective of just to practice to get those reps in. Practice is so important nowadays with the salary cap and the collective bargaining agreement that receivers. I think that a lot of times when you assess receivers, not you yourself, people think that it's like the old module where a receiver might not be that dynamic in the regular season in the regular season as a rookie, but then don't understand how good these receivers are coming in the NFL based on 7-on-7. So I think that because it's so much 7-on-7, because it's so much, as we would say, oversaturation, that you can go to a small college and see a receiver and be like, you know what? If I'm a good coordinator, I could scheme him. I can get him in drag routes. I can get him in deep ends where he may not be a fully quote unquote competition receiver, but he has a skill set that I could isolate and really take advantage of.
What people got to understand, some of these receivers and some of these players that come from a quote unquote small school, you're seeing more of it in the last 15 to 20 years. And why are you seeing more of it? You're seeing more of it with the reduction of scholarships on the Division I level. It's only 85 scholarships now, where 15, 20 years ago it was 120. So where those kids going to go?
Yeah.
Got to go to a smaller college. And then you got to look at COVID. COVID allowed for the super senior. So now if somebody redshirted, usually when you redshirt, it's 5 years. But now that you get that extra year eligibility because of COVID, 6 years. So recruiting this year for a high schooler, last year and this year, past 2 years, very tough. There's not a lot of scholarships out there. So you got some kids that instead of going to, Alabama, they're going to a Haven or a Lenore Ryan, or maybe they're going to a James Madison or a Monmouth, something like that, because scholarships ain't available.
Yeah.
But it's good, man. It's great that fans today got a real up close look at practices and how things are going. You see these reports on ESPN and ABC and NFL Network. And they're showing these camps. It's 15,000 people at some of these camps, 7,000 people. So
It's amazing because a lot of families, you see it, a lot of families plan their summer vacation around going to the NFL camps, and I think it's good for the kids. And you mentioned something to me earlier about what Coach Doug Peterson did with Jacksonville. Explain to everybody what he did.
well, Jacksonville, their facilities is being worked on, so they're actually working out at a high school. So they couldn't have as big of a crowd there, but they had the high school team there. And Doug Peterson talked to the players, talked to them about dreaming big, and watch what's going on in these practices, because this could be you in a few years. And it's good to put that out there. Put that carrot out there for young people. Because sometimes you could tell somebody till you're blue in the face, but when they actually see it right in front of them, it gives them something more that they can strive for. And I think Doug Peterson's going to do wonders for that Jacksonville Jaguars organization after they had the unenviable task of dealing with Urban Liar. I don't know why any program, college or pro, would deal with this man. He's not honest in his dealings. And sometimes we just think because they can get it done on the field, we can overlook who they are as a human being. We shouldn't do that. I like Doug Peterson. I think he got a raw end of the deal in Philly, especially after bringing them their first Super Bowl championship. And then he's gone in 3 years, 4 years he's gone, And so it's going to be interesting, man. A lot of things going on, I was looking at the Miami Dolphins camp today, and I just feel, this is just me, this is my call out. I think by week 6, number 5 going to be under center in Miami. I think it's going to be Teddy B's job. I really do. And I think it was smart of him going.
I think that it's funny. It's funny you said that. I think that Teddy has basically fell right along the line as what's the other quarterback you always talk about? Always just Derek. Who?
Tyrod Taylor,
Yes, it's Tyrod Taylor.
who should be
It's
our
always
quarterback.
it's always amazing where these guys end up in situations that they're in. Teddy's going back home, so I think it's interesting. Um, I'll just say this: that for a young guy like Tua, who's a winner, Tua, you have everything set for you. You have a young GM who has basically built a roster with a young coach where just get the players the football and everything else is set. You got running backs, you got tight ends, you got receivers. And I truly believe, like you, if Teddy Bridgewater gets a crack in that door, he's going to bust right through it. And we're going to see Teddy Bridgewater wide open. I'm talking about the Teddy Bridgewater before he broke his leg.
There's a lot of quarterback competition that's out there, man. I think The one that gets the most publicity is Baker Mayfield and Sam Darnold. I know the 49ers have said they gave him the keys to Trey Lance, but they still haven't traded Garoppolo. So, that could potentially become a battle. What's
Dwayne, can I ask you a question about the quarterbacks? And I thought about it earlier when we were texting. I just didn't get a chance to ask you. We all know, it's no more 3 years. It's no more than 4 years. Let's develop these guys. But you think they're expecting way too much? Like our coach, Coach Parcells, used to always say, "Give a guy 50 starts, and then you know what he's about." They
can't
ain't giving these guys 50 starts no more.
can't do it anymore. Can't do it anymore because of the way of the contract is set up. You need to know: am I going to extend this guy or let him just play out his last year on his rookie contract? So you can't wait to see if a kid's going to hit. You can't have an Aaron Rodgers that sits behind Brett Favre for 3 years because then you don't know. If he comes out and lights it up, then it's like, oh, what am I going to do? You know? So they got to get these kids out here a little bit faster to see who they are, to know if they're going to, pick up that option.
But does that hurt a guy who me and you thought would have a good career, but basically been a little shaky? A guy like Sam Darnold.
I mean, Sam just got to step into the arena and take the bull by the horns. This is his second opportunity where he had an opportunity to take hold of a team with the Jets and then with the Panthers, and he honestly did not play well for the Panthers. After that Cowboy game, the season went all the way downhill for him. So it's just a matter of him battling. And Baker Mayfield, change of scenery may be good for him. It's weird when you think the Browns was almost on that cusp as well. And now you have no Odell Beckham, you have no Juice Landry, and that receiving core. So I know they got Donovan People-Jones and they got Njoku at tight end, but you lose Juice Landry and you lose Odell, you're gonna feel that. So now is it Deshaun Watson to start the season? Now you got to get Jacoby Brissett available. So it's a lot going on there. I'm interested. We spoke about it a little bit before. I'm interested in seeing what the Patriots got this year. I'm interested in seeing the Jets, man. Like, think about.
Dwayne, it's funny when you look at certain teams, and as we would say, follow their program and see what they're doing and see where they're trying to get to. Like you said, you start out, you go with the team that we want, or dark horse team that both of us thought 2 years ago was Miami, and then it's like, oh, I'm looking forward to watching all 32 teams because I'm such a big football fan,
Right.
and you be like, man, I may root for one team, but just like the love of the game, the love to see of the camaraderie, to see how a young team is built, and then making the maturation process of being a Super Bowl team, like me and you a couple years ago, how we seen what the Chargers was becoming. Now they're basically some good decisions for coach. If the coach can make some good decisions, they're gonna be right there based off their roster, their talent. Their Chargers are loaded.
Well, listen, the whole AFC West is, you know, top to bottom, best. It's the best division. You know, it's going to be interesting. Like who's the worst quarterback in the AFC West? Think about the quarterbacks out there. You got Carr, you got Herbert, you got Mahomes, and you got Russell Wilson. And if you're talking about just skills and the throwing of the ball and stuff like that, you're talking about a Super Bowl quarterback, Super Bowl winning quarterback, and one that was one play away from being a repeat quarterback, being the worst quarterback in his division.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah.
Because I'm sorry, I'm taking over the other three over future stepdad. I am.
I think it's funny you brought up that. I really think Carr is actually the most underrated quarterback in the league. I don't think people realize the numbers he's put up, And like now he's got his guy.
He
I
got
know
his
he had
guy.
Amari Cooper as a kid, but now he's got his guy.
He got his guy, but he also got Josh McDaniels. And what Josh McDaniels he getting? Because when he was a head coach in Denver, it was not a good situation. Then he did the Indianapolis Coach Organization absolutely dirty, man. Like, it's amazing to me that this guy got an opportunity to be a head coach after that situation and what he did to them.
Yeah, and I said it last week. I wish he would have never got the job. And prayers for the families that live in Las Vegas and everybody out there affected by these floods. It's kind of crazy that
Yeah,
in the middle of a desert they have major floods going on.
Kentucky as well. It's a lot of stuff going on. But yeah, it's gonna be interesting, man. I'm one of the things that I'm looking forward to as we go into. I'm gonna touch on something with preseason in a minute. But as we're going into preseason, I want to see what Zach Wilson and the New York Jets do. Mekhi Becton, I started to talk about that briefly. Came into camp. He lost 20 pounds. He's still 377. So you spend all this money on the first round draft pick. He can't get his body together. Drafted him that high to be a left tackle. And now, due to circumstances, you got to move him to right tackle. It's not a good look, you know. From a longevity standpoint, for a life after football standpoint, I want to see him lose that weight. You know, he was close to 400 pounds. So, you know, there's danger involved in that.
Yeah.
You know, one thing that about the NFL, these preseason games are going to be terrible this year because there's only 3 of them. And if you listen to these coaches, like I listen to these coaches all day, they're not playing their quarterback in the first 2 preseason games.
No.
They're going to play him in the third. Now, you know, I was talking to one of I was actually talking to my sister about it today. And she was like, well, D, you know, what's going on? They only got 3 preseason games. I was looking to get tickets, but they only got 3 preseason games. And I said, the sad part about it is, there's not as many opportunities for that undrafted free agent who was able to flash in preseason. The perfect example of it, and I know it's from a while ago, but 3 games in a preseason, does Victor Cruz really get to go off like he did against the Jets? That's what really launched.
And the quarterback you just mentioned, Russell Wilson. What he started doing in practice in preseason, a lot of people forget that they had Flynn. They gave Flynn all that money and said, "Hold up, we did a boo boo. We made a mistake." And it's like because you're mentioning the preseason, those reps are important. Um, because a lot of times the first team they eat up all the reps. They eat up all the reps in the beginning of the season and during the season as well. And you're right that now the waiver wire, when guys start getting cut, this is where the GMs and the personnel guys really earn their bones. Because not only are you looking at your roster, but you're looking at all 32 teams roster. Like, well, I like this guy in the draft or as an unsigned free agent, and this team may cut him. He's on the fringe. And we have a guy on the team we root for that a lot of people don't think he's going to make it in Tristan Hill, who was a high draft pick for the Cowboys 2 years ago. And I personally think I'm not doing that this year. I learned it last year with you when we talked about Carlos Watkins, and I just think that a lot of times we can handicap what we think about rosters. We have no idea what these coaches see.
Yeah, I mean, they're there every day. You know, fans are fans. Like team we root for, to me, is the most overexposed, overhyped, over scrutinized. You put the over in front of anything related to the NFL, and it's Dallas Cowboys, and that's why a lot of people hate them. But all these things, right? Reduce practice time, reduce scrimmages. All these things was enacted by the players. This is what the players want. But at the same token, these very players that's rooting for this stuff is taking away opportunities. It's just taking away.
It's amazing because it comes down to a point where, in my opinion, they get caught up in the we're worried about ourselves right now thing, and they're not looking at, like you said, the longevity. You know, almost a third of your roster is low end street guys, low end draft and street guys, and I don't think that with 30% of your roster getting turned over every year, I think that a lot of times this is why the union has always been considered a little weak. I don't think the high end guys really think about it enough. Really think about the guy like, you know what? Let's think about the fringe guy. Instead, they'll be like, you know what? You got to order. You don't get that much money, but you got to order all the wings for
Yeah.
all the players.
Well, there's some owners, man, that's just happy to be in the business of the NFL, but you got 32 owners, right? And would you say out of those 32 owners, you got to really think about how many teams are willing to go the extra yard to get that championship? We talking 10? How many are we talking?
Yeah.
Because it's some of these owners that's just happy to be collecting them
And
checks.
and Dwayne, we've always say it. We always talk when we speak, is that you have a business that it is 32 private owners, but as a collective, they all in the business together to turn a profit,
Yep.
and they're all turning a profit, and they all turn a profit from a business. Like you said, how many owners really put their resources down to win a Super Bowl? I don't think it's 10. I think 10 would be a stretch. It might be 4 or 5. And you see it in the way that they go about their business. Would they like to win? Absolutely. Do they really care about winning? I can't say they do. I mean, I'm honestly the way some of these teams run their franchises, it's basically a profit for business thing, which is understandable. But I think if you're a fan of one of those teams that's about just the bottom line profit, I think that you should realize where your team is at and be like, you know what? I'm not investing all my energy in this team. They're not really trying to win a chip.
Yeah. Yeah. It's tough. It's tough as a fan. Like, you look at the Steelers, man, and Mike Tomlin is nothing short of spectacular his career so far. I don't really think people give this man the credit he needs to get, he deserves to get. But who's going to be that quarterback?
I think
I
Mike
guarantee you
Tomlin.
right now, I'm willing to go on. It's not a big limb that I'm willing to go on. But today is July 30th. It's only one more day of this month. No matter who the Steeler quarterback is, they're gonna make the playoffs again. That's just what Tomlin does.
Dwayne. Even speaking to that, I know the best coach in the NFL is Bill, Mike Tomlin, Andy Reid, McVay. You can put all of them in the hat and grab one, and don't be disappointed. And the reason why I say Tomlin is, yeah, you may be like, oh, he doesn't call plays, he doesn't do this, but he's number one when it comes to motivating, and he keeps that team in the playoffs. Man has never had a losing season, and basically has went through a franchise quarterback. And his resume stacked up against all these other guys based on the resources. His resume doesn't have a smear in it. Guys love playing for him. If you've seen the episode of the Pivot, you see a different side of Mike Tomlin where you knew he was a player's coach, but now there's no doubt about it that this guy gets it. He understands his players. What he did for Brian Flores and what Brian Flores is probably going to do for him is invaluable. I believe that if Mike Tomlin coached, it's funny. The Steelers are a storied historical franchise, but he doesn't get the credit he deserves.
No,
It's a weird thing.
he never will. But yeah, so it's a lot of interesting things to think about, man. And it's here now, man. Thursday is the first official preseason football game live from Canton. So it's here. This is the last weekend till after the Super Bowl where you ain't gonna have no football. Well, the week between the championship games and the Super Bowl. that'll be the first week you don't have no football, man. And so it's here. You know, every year, unfortunately, someone suffers injuries, which affects teams. Um, yeah, man, it's a good time, and again, I just think today was great celebration of the best professional game in the United States.
So with that, we ain't gonna keep have a show too long. I really don't have much else to say. Just just the beat goes on. A
Yeah,
lot of the teams is off tomorrow,
yeah,
and
watch out for the Steelers quarterback competition. That's something to look for. Watch out for the Panthers quarterback situation. Watch out for the quarterback situation in San Francisco. Um, one that's not getting a lot of publicity is the quarterback situation in Seattle. Is it going to be Geno Smith? Is it going to be Drew Lock? It's going to be somebody that we don't know about. So, you got a lot of people, a lot of positions, but, quarterback reigns supreme. So those are the ones that I'm looking out for.
with that, great show, my brother.
Yes, sir.
Until next time, you guys, and hopefully it'll be soon. We'll see you guys and have an excellent week. And like I said, we don't know when we'll be back. We ain't scheduled no shows, scheduled no days, but we look forward to seeing you. Remember, like, share, subscribe. That's the best way to support what we're trying to do with the channel. And with that, have a great night.
Have a good night.